Welcome to the New Education Show with Dean Bell, Dean Kevin, and Jeremy. We talk about real education as opposed to the indoctrination that we get all over in the systems of the planet. There's Fred. Just in time, Fred.
Hey, Phil, how you doing?
Good. We're here with Jeremy and Kevin and I. Now you're here. You're just the guy we wanted to talk to. So we're going to do an interview here today with Fred Perlman from Florida. And Fred, how old are you?
91.
91. Okay, you've been around the block.
A couple times, yeah.
Okay.
With you.
Yeah. Let's see if Jeremy or Kevin have some questions for you. But maybe first, can you kind of give us a run through of your life, like in 5-10 minutes, kind of like what you've been through and how you found the new presentation and Duane, and maybe you could even make it longer, 15-20. But if you can kind of give us an overview of your life, it'd be great.
Sure.
And maybe put your head up so the camera, so we can see your face. So there, yeah, or move the camera around a little bit. There you go. Perfect. Yes.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see you now.
Okay. I enjoyed a terrific childhood. I just grew up with very good parents and a real nice neighborhood. Nobody was wealthy. As kids, we had, no money, no nothing, but it didn't make any difference. We made our own rules, had our own good times, had nothing to do with adults. Obviously, this changes when you get to be 18, 19, 20. I went to college. Upon graduation, war broke out, so I joined the Army, got out. In the Army, I was a big shot. When I returned to civilian life, I was a zero. And it took me about 1.5 years to acclimate to that, at which time I decided I'm going to start a whole new life. And I just put my clothes in my car and drove down to Florida and stayed here ever since. I started a construction company after great difficulties and worked my way up to some really nice contracts. And when I was somewhere around 72, I guess I retired prematurely, which I'm also married. I have 3 children, 5 grandsons. So at the age of, what the hell was I was pretty damn old, 69. I was 69. I went to work for the Broward County Building Department as an inspector. And I figured I'll stay there for 1 year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. I stayed there 13 years. I worked till I was 83, which was probably beneficial. When I ran into Duane, was through his books, of course. I think everybody did. And the books were just fantastic, just terrific. Just everybody should read them. I don't know what else you could say about them. And the more you read into it, the more you get interested in all aspects of it. Some around 2 or 3 years ago, I finally developed a conversation with Duane, and through the internet got into these programs. Who's the people behind you? Where are you? And that kind of sums it all up.
Had you had any spiritual or religious background before you found Duane?
No, nothing, zero, zilch.
Huh. So in a way, Paul Twidgell said that might be a good thing because you didn't have to get rid of any kind of ideas.
Yeah, I've had a couple of good, whatever you want to call them, psychic dreams, but they're at random. They're not recent. And
Fred, maybe could you look into the camera a little bit more, or adjust your camera so you don't have to strain or anything, but that's better if you can keep your head like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I need the reminder.
Yes. What war were you in?
Korea.
Korea?
Korea, but they, in those days, when I graduated OCS, they sent us to territories alphabetically. You know, like A, B, C, those guys go to Korea, D, E, F go to Panama Canal. Next three guys went, oddly enough, I was in a very small selected group that went to Europe. Nobody went to Europe during those days. Everybody was going to Korea mostly. But they sent me to Europe, which obviously saved my life. So
you said you were a bigwig.
They kept me alive.
What did you do in the service? What you said you were a bigwig there. What kind of work did you do? What was your position?
When I went to college, I graduated as a civil engineer. And when I graduated OCS, you put down selective branches you want to serve. So I put down engineer corps first, and like a moron, I put down infantry second. You know, when you're 21, 22, I don't know, you're an entirely different person. And to my good fortune, they assigned me to the engineer corps. So when I got to Europe, we were building roads, bridges, buildings, a lot of stuff. It was all on leased land. So when we left, everything was inherited by the French. But it was a good tour, a very good tour. I can't say that as much for some of my friends who didn't come back.
Yeah, my dad was a civil engineer in Latvia, a little country of Latvia in Northern Europe. And then when the communists came in after World War II, he had to get out of there because he was somewhat influential. So he had other stories too, but he had to get out, or he would have been sent to Siberia or gotten rid of, because, you know, he had a pretty good position building roads, like you say, and things like that.
Yeah, just to get you, this has no bearing on my particular life, but just for background, my father was in World War One. show you the age bit difference here.
Yes.
Well, he was kind of lucky too. Well, I was lucky, put it either way.
Okay, you had some psychic dreams. You want to share some of your dreams that you had? Or did it have anything to do with leading up to finding Duane?
No, not. Through the years, two of them were Army buddies that, in my opinion, they were just winking out. They were dying and just kind of passing over and saying, you know, adios. One dream was a buddy of mine. When I was a kid growing up, we had some good experiences, which I'm not going to get into now. But he came back, and I visualized him in the dream. I said, Norman, my God, you look fantastic. And he said to me, not verbally, he said to me, 40. And I knew what he meant, that he had taken the appearance of what he looked like when he was 40. This conversation did not last too long. Later on, I was amazed how he could do that. I still don't know. How do you do that? He died very young. He died in his 50s. The guy was hyper all the time. But how could he do that? How could he come back and make me see him?
Kevin might have something comment for that. Or Jeremy.
That in regards to meeting old army companions and such. Well, like Duane says, you know, everything's here and now. All these individuals, even when they transition, are still here. It's just that obviously we can't perceive them from our physical level position. And with most individuals who are obviously generally creationally based, their next position will be the astral. Then, of course, from there, they will then be projected into their future experiences based on what they have decided in their consciousness and the agreements they've made, etc. So, yeah, I mean, I've had experiences with my grandparents as well, and they transitioned a good 20 or so years ago. I occasionally see them on the real side as well, and I mentioned one experience quite recently. My grandparent, who was my father's mother, at the time of her transition, I would have been very young and so hadn't found the new presentation at that time. And so she wouldn't have known about the new presentation or the years or the real universes. And yet, in experience more recently, when I encountered her on the real side, she was still on the astral, having not yet had another physical level incarnation. And she had now, because she was watching us from the astral, she was also seeing how we were singing the new song and what we were doing. And she recognized the benefit that doing so was having with us. And she was actually taking up the process of becoming more aware from her position on the astral after. And I had an experience where I shared regarding that. Yeah, as we're saying, no one ever goes or moves on or is somewhere else. Everyone's here and now. It's just that it depends where our awareness is as to whether we can see them or not. So obviously on the real side, we can see anybody we want, regardless of when they featured in history, cause and effect creation, or where they happen to be. So that's the comment I'd make regarding that.
Thanks, Kevin. Do you have any questions, Kevin or Jeremy, or?
I've had two, I call them rotes, but this is what I'm totally awake in the company of other people when they're talking to me. In one event, a good friend of mine is discussing an event. It's a charity event. And he's telling me that this very good friend of mine, when we were kids, was present. And suddenly I had the image of this guy's brother. And I saw him, and he's in a plaid suit, and he's getting up, and he's excited because he's donated money. I know I saw him, but I can't explain it. I had one other one exactly like that. This is another friend of mine I hadn't seen for a while. And while he's talking to me about his brother, I saw the brother isn't even alive. I saw the brother introducing his bride, his wife. She was in this white dress and it had three kind of skirts to it. But I saw it, and I was amazed that these things can really happen to you. Why you're not even considering them, not even sleeping. This is wide awake. By the way, his wife was beautiful.
I wanted to comment on the first one. You said that you saw somebody in a plaid suit and they got excited because they had donated money to a charity.
Yes, yes.
To me, when you were talking about that, I got the impression of opportunity, that sort of for you objectively, you see that there's this opportunity sort of, and it's exciting, like, because the charity, it reminds me sort of the New Presentation Foundation, in that it's like nonprofit humanitarian, you know, for earthly references, but sort of that excited that opportunities taking up the opportunity, or maybe something for you to see there also.
And the other experience in the physical, Kevin, do you have anything on that? He saw his friend in the physical, right? It wasn't a dream.
No.
Yeah.
People can manifest on the physical from the other levels of life. I mean, you get expressions of that with the ghosts and poltergeists and things of that activity and of that nature. And as Duane has said on a number of occasions, you can actually get some of these dark force characters literally taking a physical form, manifesting in people's presence and trying to do their various intimidation tactics. So in creation, anything's possible. It's just a case of the individual deciding to do so. So even having transitioned, if an individual wants to take form on the physical, they can, because we have to remember that even though we consider the physical body to be very solid, it really isn't. It's just made of energy. And so really all we are seeing are holograms, really. So there really is very little difference between the bodies of the different life levels. It's just that the solidity of the physical level is due to the electromagnetic polarity differential between electromagnetic energy fields, and that presents as a solidity, because a little like two magnets, if they're both positive charge and you put them together, they repel each other. That's effectively what's going on. And so individuals can as readily manifest on the physical as without the necessity of actually having to have a physical body. As I said, anything's possible in creation, and so it's just a case that the individuals who manifested in your presence simply decided adamantly they wanted to do so, and that decision became so.
And welcome, Ryan. We're interviewing Fred here today. Fred's 91, and he's got a lot of experiences, but he's sharing. So welcome, Ryan. If you have any questions for Fred, you're welcome to ask. He knows a lot.
Oh, he knows a lot.
He knows a lot. He's very wise. Yes. He knows everything pretty much.
I know about the age of the world. We know four age. We call gold, silver, and this the last age is the metal. I know he knows about what about these ages. I don't know if he knows about it. I just a question about the age of the world.
Do you know the age of the world, Fred?
The age of the world?
Yes, I think that's the question. You've been around so long, you might know. Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know, a couple of billion years, I guess. I don't know. That's a guess. But while I got you here, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. What's the best way that I can get rid of my karma while I'm still here?
Okay, we'll give that one to Jeremy.
Well, I would just say become more aware. I think that would be the best, because like I was going to share on the open Skype that when just a little recognition I had, what Duane refers to as universal positioning. It's not an act of traveling or going to, as the real universes aren't places, but as you adamantly decide that you want to become more aware, then becoming more aware is also recognizing the restrictions that you've agreed to. So once you stand in that position of becoming more aware, then you have to be in a position where no restriction exists, which is the real universes, and so on, for reference. So it's more so a decision, and as you keep that intent and you constantly decide that, then it has to be so, because you are the decider of your life. But you also have to decide something, because if you decide nothing, then you're still deciding something.
Also, you can get on the game show Jeopardy, and that'll erase a lot of your karma if you correctly answer the questions, and you can become more aware. And also, you know, this thing about the age of the world, Duane lately has been talking about history and how it's all made up. And this video that I'll probably share it next week, but they talk about how aliens created everything here for us. You know, how they talk about Inky and Anil creating the humanoid bodies. Well, they created all the systems, all the agencies. Nothing, everything is misinformation. History, science, education, medicine, everything, and every book is false. You could, you know, whether it's false or true, but in terms of misleading people, that's their idea, to mislead people. So everything here is to mislead people. It's a great big conspiracy. And same with history and this idea of yugas and ages. It's all here and now. So all that is whatever, you know. It's a reference, but if it doesn't help you become more aware, then what good is it? So just take it objectively, take it for what it is. It's whatever. So I'm just saying that history is made up, and Duane is making up his own history, and so are we here. We're going to make up our own history as we become out there more. We can create our own history. Just like with this game show, Jeopardy, we're creating our own version of it. And that's what the reptilians have done. They've created their own version of history, and it's to their benefit. Does anybody have any questions for Fred?
Yeah, I was curious, Fred, when you were growing up in your informative years and through your life, what did you consider about for you what life was all about? I mean, did you consider the possibility of reincarnation or anything of that nature? Did you consider anything beyond the life you were in, or didn't you really think about it at all? I'm just curious how. Yeah.
Did I ever get an answer? I mean, to no, but I have what you would call a belief, which coincides with everything that Duane has been talking about. All right, but it has not been proven to me, but that does not bother me at all. I know where I'm going, and I strive to get there.
You didn't have any formal path, spiritual path, or religious system that you followed, right? You had your own idea of things.
Well, I'm Jewish. I was brought up Jewish. I was never bar mitzvahed, but those thoughts, even while they're teaching them to you, they're just stories. It's not something. It's not a conviction that you carry with you. I mean, they're good. They're good stories, but that's all they are. So you would have to say that no, I never had any convictions. No.
Before you found Duane, was there anything that was kind of unusual, or do you have any hints or that this was coming in your life?
In the sense of the books that I read, yes. Let's see, I started out with a man named Von Daniken. You ever heard of him?
Daniken?
Von Daniken.
Oh, I've heard of the name.
He was the first one in books that suggested that the ancient gods were not gods at all, but were probably people from outer space whose civilizations were extremely advanced beyond ours and could do anything. And from our interpretation, they were gods. This Von Daniken was like 50 years ago. And from then, an author came along named, give me a second. He was the first one that wrote about out-of-body experiences. I read about him and even went to his, he had like an academy where they take 24 people for a week and they instruct them and stuff like that. he was terrific. And then these people led me to Duane indirectly. I had never heard of Duane, but another guy came along named William Buckman. I'm sure you never heard of him either. He's another author. And he appeared at, I left out Robert Monroe about out-of-body experiences. And that's where I met William Buckman, who's also an author and incredible person. And I kept looking for more and more. I didn't know where I was going, but I wanted more. So I read Buckman's book again. And in one of his sentences, he mentioned either Paul or some kind of reference to Paul. And that was the trigger. That was the trigger. So I looked that all up with the organization that they used to belong to. And then I found a reference to the guy that got away, which was Duane. And I got to Duane. It was a cycle of going through many years and many authors. It was a quest on my part.
When I first heard Duane on my first Skype, I was still not there yet. It took me a day, and then I saw it. But what was your first experience with listening to Duane or singing the NUUU?
It was great. I liked it a lot. I enjoy these sessions right now. I'm clumsy with the computer, which is why I missed the whole episode this morning. I didn't recognize that I had the mic right in front of me and didn't recognize it. And maybe that's my relationship with the ALLLISS. I've got the connection and I don't even realize it.
Well, you're doing great for your position. Does anybody have questions for Fred? Go ahead. We'll open it up here.
I just had a question. What was the first book that you read?
The first what?
The first book that you read of Duane's?
Book one. Book one. I didn't, but each one you have to read the next one. I mean, if you have any intellect at all. I mean, this is really great stuff. The odd part of it is if you pass it on to your friends, they think you're a weirdo or something, which doesn't bother me any because they know I'm a little weird anyhow. But what bothers me is that I can't get through to them that it's to their advantage to read this kind of stuff. I'm not a good influence on these people in that direction. I'd like to be. Oh, wait, I'll pass you one thing on to this, just to show you how little influence I am. I sent these, I bought 3 books and sent them to my 3 children. What do you suppose I've heard from them about that?
Not much, probably.
It's pathetic. I mean, the most advanced kid said, "Oh well, it's next on my list." And then she told me she's reading it, and I never heard a word about it, not one word. That's how little influence I have to bear in my own family.
I started talking to my son about it, and he said, "I don't want to talk about it." I don't want to talk about it.
Well, they're not that rude, but they don't do that. They just kind of put it off. Just on an end note, the only thing I can pass on to is through the years, I've done a lot of flying in my dreams. And, Duane has explained to me what that means. It's good, it's beneficial, but it does not mean that I'm there by a long shot. It just means I'm able to get there.
And you still have flying dreams now?
Yeah, not too recently, but yes.
So any last words here from anybody before we end? Thank you, Fred, for being here.
My
Anybody
pleasure.
else wants to make a comment or ask a question?
I do, Val. Can you hear me okay? Peter here.
Yes.
I'm asking Fred on your experience that you had originally, that first, and you might have already answered this, but I'll ask again. If first time or first few times that something happened to you in either a dream or an awareness that made you aware that there was something to pay attention to, you know, something profound perhaps, or just very direct that made you come to attention on that. That's my question to Fred.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking, I can't think of anything in particular, like a dream or a message. I would say a curiosity from the time I was, let's say, 30, 35, that I've always known that there was a lot more to everything than what I'm experiencing. And I kept searching. There was never any trigger that told me to, you know, seek something out. It's just my own gut feeling.
Yes, I hear that. I was just share my own, that what happened, I saw in a dream, I think, a large wave. And I just heard, or I think heard the word new wave. And in the dream or the awareness, I saw this very big wave flowing, you know, like that, just a big wave. And I knew that that was because I had experiences, of course, of spiritual so-called types before, many. And, you know, so that was my signal, pay attention to the new wave. And that's all I'll share on my side here. Yeah. You know, it was early on.
That's a good signal. I'll look for something like that. Send me one.
I just sent a wave right over your beach from there as a tsunami. It just went right from the beach right behind you there. And,
Okay,
you know,
I'll take it.
Came over the whole state of Florida. And because you live, and I had this thought while you were talking, you and I live at opposite ends of Florida. You're in the Miami. So I was thinking, you know, Fred, we're covering the whole state here. And then I saw this kind of idea. Oh yeah, the waves just coming from all the way across the state just now. Everybody got inundated by the wave just now, right now. You know, like the tsunami.
I'll look for them in my dreams.
Okay, Fred, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, hearing your story.
My
Stick
pleasure.
around. We'll look for you at Jeopardy next week. And you can work
Thank
off
you.
some of your karma and you can become more aware. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.